It wasn't a surprise decision, but that didn't make it any less significant.
I looked and I studied, and you are very eminently qualified for this job. You are going to be fantastic. Thank you.
President Trump moved quickly after the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, aiming to secure his third Supreme Court appointment before the election.
The stakes for our country are incredibly high. Rulings that the Supreme Court will issue in the coming years will decide the survival of our Second Amendment, our religious liberty, our public safety, and so much more.
His pick, Amy Coney Barrett, saying she plans to follow the Constitution as it was written.
Judges are not policymakers, and they must be resolute in setting aside any policy views they might hold.
Barrett is a self-described devout Catholic and has strong support in the conservative community, where they hope she'll influence laws on healthcare, gun rights and abortion.
I think it's a big win for Christians, and it's a big step. We're taking that next step forward in abolishing abortion.
This might be a happy day for Barrett, but she now faces a bruising journey ahead to officially secure the nomination.
I'm sure it'll be extremely non-controversial. We said that the last time, didn't we?
Barrett will have to front up to public hearings in the Republican-controlled Senate, where Democrats will be doing everything they can to slow the process down.
Judge Ginsburg had a dying wish that the next president choose. I will strongly, strongly, strongly oppose this nomination.
It will be decided by a simple majority vote, which Republicans will win if they stick together. Barrett will now spend the next few days meeting with senators, hoping to secure their vote and making her the youngest Supreme Court justice.
Well, for more on this controversial nomination, I'm joined by DW's Stacey Bevan. Stacey, thanks for coming in. So what do you make of this announcement? Do you think Barrett managed to convince Liberals, should we say, that she's going to stand on her own and not just toe the Republican line?
Well, I think the tableau was very interesting. It was very Americana. She had her 7 children there. 2 of them have been adopted from Haiti. The youngest has Down syndrome. Her husband was in the Rose Garden. He looked very supportive. So this is the kind of scene that certain Americans like to see, especially Christian American voters. They really like to see this. But in short, to answer your question, no. She didn't do enough to try to win over liberals. She did speak about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her legacy and why it was so important. But at the end of the day, they are ideologically opposed. Barrett is more in line with Justice Anton Scalia, who she clerked for, who's, anti-abortion, not that big on immigration, and against the Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare. So, no, she didn't do enough to convince liberals that she's going to be more open. OK, so what impact would her confirmation, if she is indeed confirmed, which it is looking likely, let's face it, what impact would that have on the future of the court? Well, a few things. First of all, the court will then tilt more conservatively. It'll be a 6-3 majority. And so the one swing vote conservative would not really go into play. So this would reshape issues like immigration, reproductive rights, healthcare rights for decades. She could be on the bench for 20, 30 years, so this is a big deal. But the more immediate thing is the reason why Trump picked her. He wants somebody, because he's been sowing seeds of doubt about the election and mail-in ballots, and people are doing that more because of the coronavirus. And he's saying if he doesn't win, it's because things are rigged. So he wants a justice that he has picked to be the deciding vote, so that if the election is close, he would have a better chance of being in office for another term. If the decision eventually makes it to the Supreme Court for them to decide on. Yeah. Right. So what happens now in terms of the confirmation process? How does it proceed? And what, if any, cards do the Democrats still have up at their sleeve? Right. They really don't have any cards. They don't have the numbers. What they can do is try to slow things down procedurally. They can try to really use Kamala Harris, who is the vice presidential nominee. She's a really tough questioner. She's on the Senate committee, so she could really ask some really tough questions to this nominee. And try to show the difference between a vice president, a Joe Biden presidency and a Donald Trump presidency, and try to scare people to be like, look, if this happens, you're going to lose your health care. You have to get out and vote. So they can't really do too much about the confirmation, but they can use the confirmation to galvanize people to get to the polls to vote for a Democrat. This is what they're hoping.
Right. Interesting days ahead. Stacey Bevins, thanks very much.
You're welcome.